What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's time for a video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Jdyo, and today we are going to be talking about the best weapons to use for Zane. Now, I did this video about a month or two ago, maybe like a month and a half ago, and it was literally like the day before they posted Mayhem 2.0, so it was immediately after posting it, it kind of was out of date because Mayhem 2.0 came out. So at the time of me posting that video, it technically was accurate, but again, you know, the next day it became inaccurate, so I've decided to redo that video for you guys. We're going to talk about the best weapons for Zane in Mayhem 10, or with the new Mayhem update. These are the best weapons you will be using for the character Zane. Now, of course, this can kind of go into a build video, and I do talk about these weapons in my best level 57 Mayhem 10 build for Zane video that I posted a little bit ago. I'll leave a card to that right here, as well as a link to that in the description below, so you can check out the build I'm using in this video. But the nice thing about that build is it's very lax on what kind of guns you use. It's very non-gun dependent, as much as you can be in Mayhem 10, because as you guys all know, it's kind of hard to not depend on certain weapons in Mayhem 10, because certain weapons are much better in Mayhem 10 than other ones. I've done my best to diversify for you guys and show you guys what the best weapons for Zane are in Mayhem 10. But yeah, if you guys want more details about the build, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As far as just the guns go, that's what this whole video is about. We're going to talk about just the best guns to use for Zane. Before we hop into the video though, be sure to subscribe. My name is Jdyo. I post 3 videos a week very consistently. I love doing videos. It's my passion and I love doing it, so be sure to subscribe. Tune in for 3 videos a week, and let's hop right into the video. Alrighty, so first off, let's just go over the guns. Before we even show them off, let's just go over them. The top 4 guns I think you should always have equipped for Zane in Mayhem 10, or in general, is the lob for your shotgun. This thing is really good. It used to be probably the best gun in the game, but they've since Mayhem 10 has come out, they've kind of nerfed it a little. It hasn't been as good, but it still is really good, and if you hit your shots right, it can do a ton of damage. So definitely a lob. And then also the Monarch. This is probably the #1 weapon for Zane. If I'm being honest, this is the best weapon for Zane, in my opinion. The Monarch in bipod mode is an absolute beast. And keep in mind, I only have a ×4 variant. I don't even have a ×8 variant. So if you can get your hands on a ×8 variant Monarch, you're going to be destroying people. I'm already doing incredible damage with this Monarch in ×4. So if you have a ×8 variant where you have even more projectiles, you're going to be absolutely shredding people. This is one of the best guns in the game, and definitely one of the best for Zane. The next is the Yellowcake. This is for wiping out huge bosses or huge mobs of enemies at once. This is really good. I do like the Yellowcake a lot. I wish I had a better one. I don't have the best Yellowcake. It's not awful, but it's not the greatest, but it still is really good. The Yellowcake's definitely the best rocket launcher in the game, and so having something that has that amount of power in your inventory at all times where you can just wipe out an enemy is super important as well. Now, the very last one is an SMG. It's the Khaosan. This thing is absolutely incredible. I love it. It's not good for every single situation, but it's good for most of them. It has a very quick fire rate. It has exploding bullets that do damage on impact as well as when they explode, which is even better. It's just overall a fantastic weapon. I love the Khaosan. The guns that I use the most is the Monarch and the Khaosan. I use those two the most. I use the Yellowcake in certain situations, and I've just recently started using the lob. I still like it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. If there's one gun that you want flexibility with, it's the lob. If you like a certain gun more than one of the ones I'm showing you guys, replace it with the lob. I think that's the one that can be the most flexible. I like the lob, but you can use some other guns. An honorable mention is the OPQ system. This gun is really good. Now, I haven't done too much on it in terms of farming for it, so I don't know if there's one that has a quicker or a higher magazine size, but the one that I have has a really low magazine size. I find myself reloading a lot with this OPQ system, so again, I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. I don't know if there are ones with a bigger magazine size, but the one I have has too low of a one for me to use it over the lob, but it is an honorable mention. It's a great gun. But anyways, you know, there's that. There's the guns. There's the guns you want to be using with Zane. Let's go ahead and show them off a little bit more. Kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. We'll go through each one, and I'll show you guys a little bit about each one of them. All right, so let's go ahead and pop our skills. Obviously, it's going to make your guns a little bit better for getting kill skills. And we'll just start off with the lob. So, I mean, as you guys all know, the lob is a great gun. Look, I mean, if you hit your shots right, it does good damage, especially against enemies that are weak to whatever element you have of the lob. It's not, what I've found in Mayhem 10, it's not good for every situation like it used to be. As you can see right there, I just shot a bunch of shots and it just didn't do anything into this guy. Although he does have a shield, the exploding part of the lob bullets didn't do a whole lot to him. So it's good for certain situations. It's good for certain situations, and in certain situations it's just not as good. So there's the lob for you. I mean, take it as you will. It can be good. It can also not be great. Sometimes you'll find your bullets, when they're placed correctly, they will do a lot more damage than when they're not. So sometimes when they explode at the right time or do the right amount of damage, you'll see the enemy's bar just disintegrate, and other times it doesn't. So let's move on to the Monarch. Arguably the best weapon in this category of weapons right now. It's great when it's not in bipod mode. It still, look at that, it shreds when it's not in bipod mode, but when it's in bipod mode, man, oh god, it destroys. I mean, look at that. It just absolutely cuts through this militia. It's one of the best. It just does so much damage. It's one of the best weapons you can use for Zane. And this, again, this is a ×4 variant, so imagine if this was a ×8 variant. That's just unreal. I mean, this thing does so much damage. I find myself constantly falling back to the Monarch and just using that. If there's one downside to it, it's the magazine capacity. It eats through ammo incredibly quickly, so just keep that in mind when you're using it. You will be eating through ammo quite quick, but it's worth it. I mean, this thing, you're just going to be destroying people with the Monarch. It's absolutely fantastic. Now let's go into the Yellowcake. Most of you kind of already know the deal with this, but this thing is amazing. It's all about bullet placement. Having those bullets explode at a certain time will do the most damage. So it's all about bullet placement there, but this thing can absolutely wipe through enemies. Big or small, this can just wipe through mobs of enemies, and it's just a fantastic weapon to have on hand for emergency situations, as well as just wanting to wipe out enemies. It's such a great weapon. The Yellowcake is amazing, and again, I don't have the best one in the world, but it still does its job. It still can wipe people out. But keep in mind also, it is about bullet placement, like I said before. This gun is definitely about placing your bullets correctly and hitting those shots correctly, so that the second little wave of the bullets there explode on the enemy. That'll wipe them out pretty good. I'm not even the best at using this. You know, there's other people that use it way better than I do, but still, it's one of the best. It's one of the best rocket launchers in the game, if not the best rocket launcher. So having that on hand with your Zane is going to do you a lot of good as well. And again, if you can hit the right bullet, if you get the right bullet placement, it'll just wipe out a bar of health. So there's that, and let's wrap up the demonstration with the Khaosan. This thing, again, is amazing. It does impact damage, so it does damage on impact when your bullets hit the enemy. It does damage, as well as it does exploding damage after a couple of seconds on the enemy, which is just amazing. It shoots really quick. It's really, really good. Certain enemies are a lot more susceptible to explosion damage than others, as you guys know. So certain enemies that are weak to explosion damage, this is definitely going to be the move for. But ones that aren't weak to explosion damage, it's hard to do a ton of damage to. So that's the only reason that this isn't as good as the Monarch. The Monarch is good for pretty much every situation. Of course, I go down by death there. But the Monarch is pretty much good for every situation, whereas this is only good for certain situations, but it still is an amazing weapon. So keep that in mind. It's a great weapon. The Khaosan is amazing. But if you're going to take away something from this video, take away the fact that the Monarch is going to be your best friend. The Monarch is absolutely fantastic. Of course, I keep dying by death. That's one of the things I struggle with in this game, is death just killing me all the time. But perfect time to die, because that's when I wanted to end the video. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Keep all those tips in mind. Those are the 4 best weapons I would always have equipped for Zane, at least with my build. Again, the build that I've done for the Mayhem 10 Zane is in the link in the description below, so be sure to check that out. I think, honestly, you guys will not regret using these 4 weapons. They're just absolutely fantastic. It's good for literally every situation. At least one of those guns will help you out for every situation that you're in. So keep that in mind. Those are my tips. I'm sorry that the last time I did a video on the best 4 weapons for Zane, it went out to date in literally 24 hours, because I didn't know Mayhem 2.0 was coming out the very next day. But anyways, it is what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm Jdyo. I post 3 times a week very consistently, so be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.